Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I'll have guests on from the LaGrange College and also from West Georgia Health System. So you want to make sure that you stay tuned for those interviews in just a moment.
When you mention Preview Day at LaGrange College, the word one pops up a lot. Our graduates work for #1 companies, earn Emmy and Grammy nominations, and they give back to their communities, which is wonderful. We're the #1 choice of high school students from all over the Southeast. One visit and you'll see why. Come to Preview Day at LaGrange College, Saturday, October 27th. RSVP at lagrange.edu.
Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have students on from LaGrange College. I have seniors. I have Abby Hall and Joe Strickland. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down. Abby, I know that this is your second time you and I sitting down together and talking about something that's coming up at LaGrange College. And Joe, I think this is your first time that you and I would have had a chance to sit down. Talk a little bit about yourself, Joe, where you're from and what's your major there at LaGrange College.
Well, I'm from South Georgia, the Moultrie, Valdosta area. I'm a senior history major, and I came to LaGrange just because I came for a visit and I came for a private tour, and I just really liked the campus. It was better than any of the other schools that I had visited. I felt more at home, and it was the first campus that I'd stepped on, and as soon as I stepped on campus and started walking around, I could say I was at home on the hill. I felt like it was the place that I wanted to be, and it was the place that I should be.
Okay, well,
so that's why I ended up choosing LaGrange.
All right. Well, Abby, I know you're here from LaGrange,
Yep.
so I guess it was really home for you, right? Talk about your reason for choosing LaGrange College.
My first reason, I wanted to get farther away from home as possible. I don't want to go to LaGrange, but like Joe, I came for a visit, and I actually came to one of it was then named Visitation Days, and I stepped on the campus, and when I left, they knew my name, and they remembered my name when I came for the next visit. And that's something that you can't get at a larger university. And when I came back for the next visit, they were like, "Hey, Abby, nice to meet you again. Come on in, make yourself comfortable." And it was like Joe said, just you're at home. And I really appreciated how the feeling at the campus was.
Absolutely. Well, I attended a private school too, smaller campus where the professors get to know you. I guess sometimes that's a good thing, bad thing, but it is more, like I said, it's more of an intimate setting, more caring and things of that nature, not to take anything away from the larger universities, of course, because I know they do a wonderful job of educating our youth of today. But I've been there on that campus a couple of times myself, and it's always inviting as well. Now, you all are here to talk today about Preview Day that has now been changed from Visitation Day, and I understand that, Joe, you came to a private tour. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But Visitation Day, Abby, talk a little bit about Preview Day for us.
Well, Preview Day is a time for the prospective students. They get to come in and talk with professors, and they get to talk to students like us. So not only are they seeing the teacher aspect of it, but they're also get to sit down, have lunch with us. They can ask us questions about student life, why we chose LaGrange College, and what we plan to do after LaGrange College. So it's a personable day just to get to know students who may be thinking about coming to LaGrange College.
Okay. Now, and Joe, you were telling us a moment ago, because visitation is Preview Day is open to everybody from the surrounding area and other states, and you came on a day that was not set aside for Preview Day. So talk a little bit about that. How was it for you to get a one-on-one?
Well, our admissions office, they're some of the best. They work really hard, and basically they schedule private tours for students any day of the week. And those tours are given by fellow students. We're a group called Hilltoppers, and we give tours to the students that come in on private tour days. We usually do them one in the morning and one in the afternoon, but the admissions office is so flexible that if you can only come at 5 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon, maybe the admissions office is closed by then, but they'll stay and they'll get a student lined up for you that can still give you that tour. So our admissions office works really hard just to be flexible for everyone, and to come in for those private tours so that students that came to Preview Day that want to see more can come on a private tour and actually get to go sit in on a class if they want to, or if they want to come for an overnight visit, they can stay with a student on campus and get to go stay overnight and kind of see student life, the nightlife a little bit, and see what students going to class the next day, going to class with that student. So really just to give them the opportunity to expand more upon what they saw with Preview Day.
Okay, very good. And it's so important. I think a lot of times, I was the first in my family to go off to college and didn't have the luxury of being able to go to the campus to kind of, give it a, check out to see what it's like, the nightlife, the school, and then things of that nature. So I got plopped down and I was just there, But thankfully it worked out for the best. But now how many students do you all anticipate coming to Preview Day? And then also talk about when is it going to be, because we've been talking about when will Preview Day be held, Abby?
Preview Day will be held October 27th, and we roughly have
usually between 60 to 80 is usually where we usually stand at.
Yep.
Very good. And October 27th, and it'll start about what time?
It'll start probably around 8. They usually come in, register. Sometimes the president comes in and talks to them. So they'll get welcomed in, and then they'll go on a tour, and we'll lead them in that tour. And it should be over with around 12.
Okay, all right. Well, I was going to ask you, what are some of the things that, in the past, because I know that Abby and you as well, Joe, have both kind of gathered the students. What are some of the things that you all show them when they come and go on the tours?
Well, we show them classrooms. And the thing about Preview Day is the classrooms are empty, so they get to see what the classroom looks like, just personable and up close. And then like he was talking about on private tour, when you come back, you actually get to see the teacher in there and students in there. Also on Preview Day, we take them to the dorms, and they look around the dorms and they can tour, kind of just hang out on campus and get a feel for the campus.
Okay, all right. Now, I'm sure when they come, they have lots of questions. What is probably some of the most common questions that you all have heard from the students coming?
What is there to do in LaGrange? What do y'all do here?
Some adults ask that question too, right?
We have this thing called student panel, and it's actually where just students are in the room, current students and the prospective students, and they ask questions from, what do you do here? Where's Walmart?
Can you have pets?
Yeah, can you have pets?
Okay.
I mean, they're just your typical questions. What's dorm rooms like? Because even though they get to see it, they see an empty room that just has the furniture and the desks in there. They don't really get to see what the room is like or what living with another person is like. Because I know a lot of students coming to college for the first time, you've never shared a room with another person. You usually have your own room at home. Yeah. So it's kind of like, what is it like? What was it like for you living with another person for the first time? Because I know that's how it was for me. I'd never shared a room before. So they ask questions like that about living with other people. They ask about the dining hall, like how's the food. The questions range, how are the professors, how's the workload, like the questions are usually your basic run-of-the-mill questions. I was going to say, just sound like a gamut of questions there, right? But we definitely got to make sure that the food is right.
Yes.
And I think that you guys have a wonderful dining hall there. Like I've eaten there a couple of times in the past there. Then let me ask you now, a typical day schedule, work schedule. What is a typical day for a student, like the number of hours? And because I think you all are on the semester system, correct?
We are. Well, since we're seniors, it's a little bit different because like I have a 16-hour semester, but they're all for my major.
That's right. Okay.
As a freshman coming in though, we try to get them 12-hour semester, that first semester, so they're not overwhelmed, because we don't want to scare college out of them, but we want to give them enough work so that they know the responsibility of college. So as you move up on the totem pole, I guess, then your hours either become lighter or heavier.
Okay, very good. And I know, thinking a lot of times, because I was on semesters as well, and, I think they had like the minimum that you, and then the maximum number that you could take as far as courses were concerned. Now, I know that both you guys are ambassadors for LaGrange College as well. If students were interested in becoming an ambassador, how do they go about doing that?
Well, again, that goes through our admissions office, and it's a group that we're called the Hilltoppers. And at the beginning of every year, the admissions office accepts applications, and you turn in your application, and it's just the admissions office. Our Hilltopper advisor is Matt Montgomery. He's one of the admissions counselors, and he looks through the applications, and he brings them. He brings in ones that he thinks are good, like the applications look good, and he interviews them, and he sees like how they like. He wants to know about what their passions for LaGrange are and how they feel about LaGrange, and it's through that interview and that application that he basically that we determine what how you if you should be a Hilltopper, and if you're good, and if you're ready for it. Because sometimes when you're a little bit younger, it's harder to know your passion for LaGrange, and you see it more from the juniors and seniors because we've been here longer. But occasionally you'll see that freshman or sophomore that really is on fire for the school, and those are the kind of people that you want as a student ambassador. They're the ones that you want leading students around during preview day and having come to visit for private tours and stuff like that, because they're the ones that are going to be enthusiastic and the ones that are going to make students want to come here.
Oh, very good. Now, you're talking to an audience here now. There may be a student in Troop High, Callaway High, or LaGrange High that may be thinking about LaGrange College, but may not have really made up their mind. What would you say to them to get them to come out to visitation day?
Come to preview day. Because since we're so close at home, and I speak this from experience, from being here, you want to leave home. But if you don't know what you have until it's gone. So to have them to come visit and see the campus, it's a totally different world from the city itself. And I think you don't understand that until you step foot on the campus, and then it's like a little magic place. I don't know. That's the best I can explain it.
Very good. Well, that's fun. And I think that on that same day that you all have a football game, so that's another, I guess, incentive for the students to come out, not only from the local surrounding, but also other cities as well. So that day you all have a football game. Talk about when that will start, Joe.
The football game starts at 1 o'clock, and what we'll do is after preview day, we'll invite the students down for a tailgate down at the football stadium. And a majority of the campus organizations will have different tents down there that they'll be tailgating themselves with their members of their organizations, as well as usually our dining hall does a tent down at the tailgating just to kind of like have food and stuff down there. So it's really just for students. They get to ask more questions for other students. They can meet other organizations because you can ask the students that are in SGA or the students that are involved with Greek life or religious life. They'll all have tents down there. So they're all kind of set up, and you can pretty much determine where we are because we'll have signs set up around our tents saying what organization we're representing. And it gives the prospective students a chance to just kind of walk around and talk to different organizations and find out more about us and what we do on campus, and give them an idea of things they may want to get involved with if they choose to come to LaGrange. All
right, very good. Well, again, we're talking about preview day. That's going to be October 27th at LaGrange College from 8 a.m. to about 12, and then have a football game following. I want to thank both of you, Abby and you, Joe, for coming on the show and just sharing this information about preview day, and hopefully you have a number of students that will come out.
Thank you.
Thank you both. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment.
We're here today with Scott Kendrick, and he's the owner of Sugarsmith Cafe on Lafayette Square. And I'm so excited that we're here today. We wanted to talk to you about your business. And Scott, if you'll just tell everybody how long you've been in business here.
Well, we've been here since 2009. It was formerly the Sugarmeyer Sweet Shop and Ice Cream Parlor. And we acquired the business from the Sugarmeyers in 2010. And was a successful business at the time, and people really seemed to gravitate toward the ice cream parlor. But during that time, we realized that the community needed service in other areas for areas to relax, to take the time out of their day, to come maybe read a book or to get a break from work, and right here in the downtown area. So we decided at the time to renovate the store, to renovate from the top down menu, and rebrand the store as the Sugarsmith Cafe. Sugarsmith, I get the people come times and they call me Mr. Smith because they assume by the name, but actually that came up from my daughter. We were thinking of ways to present the store, and she said, "Well, you make things out of sweets like a smith would out of iron. So how about the Sugarsmith?" So that's how the name came about.
Great.
And for an 11-year-old, I thought that was pretty innovative. So so we went with that, and so Since 2006, since we've relaunched, everything has been coming along nicely. We just would like the community to know that there is a place downtown that they can come and visit and become a part of. We really like to be one-on-one with our customers.
Absolutely.
And get to know them on a personal basis and be a long-term business downtown.
Right. Well, I just know it's so welcoming. I always just kind of relax when I come in here, and I've met friends and clients here, and had a cup of coffee and talked about business matters, and it's really nice to know we have a place like this in downtown LaGrange. Of course, I love the picturesque setting that you have, and the view of the
Certainly.
square from here is wonderful.
It is a very Norman Rockwell kind of look.
Absolutely.
When you look across and the kids are there and people are with their dogs, and so yeah, it's very inviting.
I know that since you've rebranded and you've expanded your menu and everything, you've got a lot of different things to offer here besides ice cream. So I'd love for you to talk to us. You've got a lot of good-looking food here on the table, and
Certainly.
it's making us really hungry. So if you'll talk about some of these things that you've got, as just to give
Right.
everybody an example of what they can expect when they come in.
This is just a small assortment of some of the things that we've done, but we have, which we get a lot of accolade for, is the chicken salad sandwich.
That's one of my favorites.
It's on a butter croissant roll. We have multi-grain wraps, which kind of the lighter fare for people who want to be a little healthier conscious. Something new that we're starting is the panini-styled sandwiches with either ham or turkey. So that's a new one that we're trying to put forth, and as well as for the kids, we'll do a grilled cheese type of fare. Then we have fresh baked daily baked cinnamon rolls. People have really been enjoying those. And we also have, in the cooler months, we're offering different soups.
Oh, great.
So that'll go nicely with a sandwich. And then we have some new frozen beverages, which is the Big Train frozen drinks, and that has been a very big hit.
All right, Scott, so tell us the hours of operation, and one thing that I want everybody to know, that they can come eat lunch after 2 o'clock in downtown LaGrange.
That's
so
right.
This is a wonderful place to come
Certainly.
after 2.
We are open from morning till the evening, till 8 o'clock in the evening. Weekends we stay open till 10. And as you said, after 2 o'clock, most of the downtown places have switched over to prepare for the evening, whereas we're still available for fulfilling that
That's
need.
great.
So,
Hey, Scott, thank you so much for letting us come
pleasure.
today and talk to you about the Sugarsmith. And all this food has made us so hungry. So as soon as the camera cuts off, you know what we're going to do. We're going to try some of this stuff out. Thanks again.
Welcome back to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I have a guest on from West Georgia Health. I have the Manager of Infectious Control, Bunny Norick. Bunny, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here today, and I don't know that I've had the pleasure to sit down with you and talk about the things that we're going to talk about today, but before we get started, I know that you're the Manager of Infectious Control, but talk a little bit about Bunny and how you got here to LaGrange.
Well, actually, I'm a native from Illinois. I came to Georgia about 20 years ago. I'm a graduate from Illinois University with a bachelor's in clinical laboratory science. I also have a master's from Illinois in education, and they gave me an offer I couldn't refuse 20 years ago for the laboratory at West Georgia Health. So I moved down here with my family then, and I worked in the laboratory for 10 years. Then I moved to education for 5 years, and then this position I've been in for 5 years. When I was first in the laboratory, I worked in microbiology. So it was a good fit between education and management and the microbiology part.
Well, we're very happy to have you here in our community. I know that you probably just found the community hopefully very welcoming and inviting. You stayed, that's right, 20 years, right?
Yes.
Now, as a manager of infectious control, talk a little bit about what is your role there?
Well, I monitor the infections coming in and out of the system. It's two-pronged effort. We want to make sure that patients that come in with infections aren't given to our staff, and our staff give them to our patients. And we don't want to give our patients infections when they come in, say, for a hip replacement. We do what we can to prevent that, and that is a big effort to do that, and we're very successful at it.
Oh, okay. So basically what I'm hearing you say, you may have patients that come in with various types of infections.
Correct.
That can be passed and transmitted over to the staff members. What are some of the common things that you all see and encounter, Bonnie?
The most common organism we see in our community is MRSA, which stands for methicillin-resistant Staph aureus.
I'm glad you said that one. and what is that?
For short, we call it MRSA or MRSA, and it's a bacterial infection, and it causes ulcers. It eats up the skin. It's a very nasty drug, and we usually like to put people on IV antibiotics when it's really, really serious, and that's when we see them in the hospital, because we'll take them into the operating room and open up that wound and drain it real well and give the patient antibiotics.
Now, MRSA, how does one get MRSA? How does it come about?
MRSA can live in our skin. Over 30% of the population in the United States has MRSA in their skin, and they'll get a cut or they'll get a scrape. Some of our athletic people will get infections from the sweaty equipment that they use, and you know there can be abrasions during that. So they get an infection there, and then it would grow. And sometimes the antibiotics don't work, and we have to use bigger gun antibiotics.
Bigger gun?
Bigger guns.
Oh, bigger guns. Okay.
Bigger guns,
okay.
yeah.
All right. So, and I heard you say sometimes you may have to go in and open it up and drain it off and stuff of
That's
that
correct.
nature. Okay. Now, and so you have MRSA as being one of those things. Are there any other common diseases or infections that you see?
Yes, Clostridium difficile is another one. It is on the rise because of our antibiotic use. It kills off the normal flora in our intestines, and C. diff, or we call Clostridium difficile, as we say too. It lives there normally, but when we kill off what the normal flora, the normal bacteria in our intestines, it takes over, and our patients will get diarrhea. We're seeing that a lot in the community that's rising because of our antibiotic use, and also our compromised patients. They cannot defend themselves against that bacteria.
So what I'm hearing is you have certain bacteria in the intestine that needs to be there, and when that, I guess, diminishes, then this other one can take over.
That's
and cause,
correct.
okay. Oh my God! So I'm getting an education here today. Now let me ask you. Now I've heard the term staph and things of that nature. Sometimes you hear a person comes up with staph infection. Talk about that for us, Bonnie.
Sometimes patients will get that staph infection when they have procedures in the OR. They may get that because it lives on their skin, or we might give it to them for some reason, like our Foley catheters. If they have it in their skin already and we leave a device in their skin, could be a Foley catheter, could be an IV, that MRSA will have an opportunity to grow. And then we deal with that, and that's called a healthcare acquired infection.
And healthcare acquired.
Healthcare acquired.
Okay. Now, what are some, because you want to make sure that this is not passed to your employees or vice versa, what are some preventative methods that you all have in place to kind of control these things?
The number one intervention that our employees take, and we ask for our patients and our community to do too, is to wash their hands. It sounds very simple, but actually there's a science to washing your hands, and every employee that comes into West Georgia Health is taught how to wash their hands. They need to spend 15 seconds with that soap on their skin, scrubbing all their fingers and their thumbs. Imagine what life would be like if you didn't use your thumb.
That's right.
So you use a lot, so make sure that they do their thumbs, make sure their fingernails are trimmed, and to use gel in between. We want them to scrub their hands when they're using the soap and water, because that is how the dead skin cells with the bacteria on them gets off the skin. Because actually just doing this doesn't kill the bacteria, it's scrubbing the bacteria off. When we use our gel, the alcohol gel, that does have an effect of killing the bacteria, as we know. It also dries your skin, and we ask that our employees do use lotion in between using that alcohol. But that's the number one thing we can do. We do many other things too, like making sure our environment is clean and using the proper disinfectants and chemicals to kill the bacteria in our rooms and on our equipment.
Okay. Let me ask you a question, because I know that most of the time when you go into an operating room or hospital, it's always very cold. Is there a reason for that?
Yes, that's a very good question. Our bodies have bacteria on them, and when we decrease that level, of temperature that lessens the ability to fight infection, but it also gives us the ability to go into the body and protect other processes that are going on. So we do want our room a little bit cool when we're doing our surgery procedures, but we also want to warm that room back up, or warm the patient back up. We get them out of that room because we can't fight infection as well when it's cold. So we're doing two different things to our patients, but we're doing them both for a purpose.
Oh, okay, interesting. Now, and I know that this month, well, this week, October the 14th through the 20th, is National Infectious Prevention Week. Talk about that and what, of course, West Georgia Health System is doing and other countries are doing to help prevent it.
During International Infection Prevention Week, we want to raise the awareness of everyone what they can do to prevent infections. At West Georgia Health, I have some posters put up that describe how to prevent sharps. We also talk a lot in infection prevention about not getting cut with needles and lancets, because there are a lot of organisms that are in the blood and we don't want to share them from the instrument they're using to themselves. So I have a nice poster set up on sharps. I talk about hand hygiene. I talk about the influenza vaccination and isolation policies. When a patient does have an infection we don't want to share, we put them in what's called transmission precautions, and we want people to wear gowns and gloves when they go in and see that patient. So it just raises the awareness of not only healthcare professionals, but of consumers of healthcare, what they can do. They can tell their healthcare givers to be sure you wash your hands. You know, we want them involved in their health care.
Absolutely. So it's appropriate for them. And I notice a lot of times when you go to the doctor, they have now the little dispenser on the walls. They just kind of do that real quick. Is that effective?
That's preventing infections.
Okay, well, very good. Now, and talking about preventing infections and various other things, I know that, you know, of course, this is the time of the year that we see get your flu shots. And I was passing by a CVS or a drugstore the other day, and I saw get your pneumonia shots. And I was not aware that there was a pneumonia shot out. Talk about that for us.
We've been battling community-acquired pneumonia for some time. It's been several years we've had that vaccine out, and we've been assessing our patients when they come into the health system. If they need to have that, if they're so old, a certain age, we will give them that. If they have compromised in any way, respiratory-wise, asthma, COPD, chronic pulmonary diseases, we will ask them these questions, and if they meet that criteria, we will give them the pneumococcal vaccine and the influenza vaccine. Now we're offering that out in the public, in your CVS stores, and not just in your doctor's offices. We are pushing that.
Okay. Well, Bunny, this has been quite interesting. I want to thank you very much for coming on and to bring the awareness to National Infectious Prevention Week, and to thank you. And definitely want to have you come back on the show if we can talk a little bit more about some things that are going on there at West Georgia Health System.
Definitely.
All right, Bunny, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment.
When you mention Preview Day at LaGrange College, the word one pops up a lot. Our graduates work for #1 companies, earn Emmy and Grammy nominations, and they give back to their communities, which is wonderful. We're the #1 choice of high school students from all over the Southeast. One visit and you'll see why. Come to Preview Day at LaGrange College, Saturday, October 27th. RSVP at lagrange.edu.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining for City Week this week. My guests have been from LaGrange College, Abby Hall and Joe Strickland, ambassadors for LaGrange College. And they talked to us about the upcoming Preview Day that will be held on October 27th. So come on out and see what the college has to offer you. Also ahead on from West Georgia Health System, Bunny Norrick, the manager for infectious control. She talked about how to prevent yourself from being infected by various diseases. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed these interviews. And as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.